everyone, welcome back to the Jessica Siruku YouTube channel, and today we are on episode 2 of unpacking her memoir, Shooting Through Concrete Walls. So we're gonna dive right in. If you're interested, keep on watching. So we're gonna start off with a topic that is particularly interesting. There was a phase of your life where you were an adolescent and you were going through a phase where you were starting to date, and you detail your experience as a very fear-filled one, which is something that one wouldn't think of when they think of a dating experience. One would think, okay, exciting, maybe a bit of butterflies, but you had a different outlook on it. So please take us through.
Interesting topic. All the girls in the room would want to hear about this exciting dating phase, and all mothers in the room would want to know how kids feel, I guess. But for me, my situation was a bit different in the sense that for those that had watched my previous YouTube episode 1 of Unpacking, I made mention of how big my family was. 15 siblings, 15 of us, and I'm the 14th. And mind you, I think one thing that I didn't mention is out of those 15 of us, 5 were girls and 10 were boys. So I grew up in a family of 10 brothers, and I had 4 elder sisters. So I was the 14th born out of all that. And because my father had passed on when I was 3, and I was looked after by my siblings, my elder brothers, because of the absence of our father, then had to step in and become the father figures in the family. But remember, this situation is quite intricate in this way. The father is there. My father was short, so it's a sudden death. It's not like you were prepared for it. It's not like you planned for it. And I believe at that time one of my brothers was old enough, he had married, but the rest of the brothers were not married. So one had newly married, he had small kids. He himself is still figuring out how to be a father.
I can imagine in today's society, when you are still maybe in your early 20s, you're still considered very much a child, and wow, they had to grow up very quickly. And this was a patriarchal society, meaning males were automatically fathers.
Yes.
You know.
Yes.
When the father of the family passes on, the males become the fathers, basically.
Definitely. So I had 2 mothers. For those who watched my previous, I had 2 mothers, both sisters, married to one husband. Now my dad is no longer there. The 2 wives have a son. One of them has a son, and the son has to step in to be the father. Now my brother, who's just newly married, is becoming a father in a family with 2 mothers and 14 other siblings.
And this is not just to say a role of a father. They actually had to make all the decisions. Like, even if someone was to get married, that would be the father.
He would be the father to now marry off my sister.
Exactly, and receive the cows, because back then cows would actually come home.
Yes, and if, for example, you know how our African societies are, if, let's say I'm married and I have a problem with my husband, when I go back to my parents, maybe for them to resolve or to intervene. But because now in my family there's no father, my brother then becomes my father. So whatever decisions have to be made or any issues that need to be resolved, my brother then steps in as a father. So in my situation, in my family, because my father wasn't there, my brother, the elder one, had to step in to be the father of the family. His own wife and kids, and his 2 mothers and 14 other siblings.
I can imagine the weight, again, like going back to the weight of how this setup was, not only for the firstborn children, but even for their spouses, you know, like the people that are being married into the family as well.
I think it wasn't easy. It was a lot of responsibility. It was a lot of responsibility, and
we thank God that they did have wives that
supported.
And we took on that responsibility.
To know that I'm married to a firstborn son, and maybe by the time he marries you, he's told you I've got 13 other young kids after me. So
I can imagine just hearing that.
So you're newly married, you already know I've got 13 kids to look after.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was the kind of setup I grew up in. And as I was now turning into a teenager, this elder brother of mine passes on, and the second in line becomes the father. So dating for me was something that was scary in the sense that my brothers, I think in their effort to make sure that I don't stray and I focus on school, they then created an environment where they would threaten me in a way of making me not do mischievous things. But their threats caused more fear for me. So I got to a point where even talking to a guy was scary. Openly dating was unheard of. Even if a guy was interested in me, I wouldn't want to be seen talking to the guy in an open space lest my brother see me and I'm in trouble. So dating for me was really scary. And I in hindsight now that I'm an adult and I look back and I'm realizing that's all they knew. They had not been parents, except for my elder brother who had passed on. The rest had not been parents themselves. By the time their responsibility of being a father figure for us was bestowed upon them, so they didn't know any better. But then it was not easy for me. I just felt they were being unfair. I just felt it was like a resentful, like I was scared. I couldn't do anything, but I was scared, and I just thought this is an unfair situation. So my decisions in terms of dating
were shaped
from fear. Yes.
Wow.
To the point that eventually, even when I then dated, it was...
You didn't even have the guidance nor the protection of knowing that, hey, you can tell on this guy to your brothers and they'll have your back, like how people do nowadays. So it was more like secretive. Quick, not fully expressing yourself as well, because I can't imagine, like, were you even comfortable?
No. So you date because you're interested in this guy, but you have to be very discreet about it. And it's not informed. You can't really openly talk to anyone and say, guys, do you think this guy is a good guy? What do you think about it? You can't have those open conversations. So your decisions are just sole decisions. If you're making a mistake, you're just making a mistake unilaterally. And then the next thing you find yourself in trouble. But then it's too late. And then still in that trouble, there's no one to support you to help you get out of that trouble. You have to deal with it. You get into trouble because of your maybe lack of guidance, but you still have to fix it or stay in that trouble because you made a choice to be there. So dating wasn't easy.
Wow. Like, as we have established that the lack of support, the threats you were receiving made you make decisions from a point of fear. And how do you think that impacted you? Because one of the things that you went through was early pregnancy. So talk us through that.
Okay. Not to say you're not a blessing, you're the greatest blessing
I know I'm a blessing.
You're the greatest blessing that came from that. But I was pregnant at some people might not call it young age.
Yeah,
but
I mean, a lot of people before you, like our mothers, would have been pregnant with 5 kids. I mean, grandmothers.
Yeah.
By your age.
By that age.
But
as a person who wanted to go to university, I had not yet accomplished the things that I wanted. Mm-hmm. So during that time when I was teaching, and before I got enrolled into university, during the time I was now applying for university, I then found myself pregnant. And then I had to get married. Ill-prepared, emotionally not prepared, financially not prepared. But I had to get married out of necessity. Because you're pregnant, you get married. There's no excuse to say, oh guys, I was experimenting and then I found myself pregnant and then now can I just stay at home and try and figure myself out? There was no option. You had to get married. So I then found myself in a marriage.
Just thinking about how probably that was a way of protecting you as well from being shunned by society.
Yeah.
You know, another action by your brothers to protect you, but it may have seemed harsh again at that time. To say, I don't have the opportunity to do this, or I don't have the comfort. But the society you were growing up around did not afford you such luxuries.
Yeah. The society itself was judgmental.
So maybe, even though it was tough, it was still a form of protection, or still a form of like the better option for you at that time.
Yes. So
to be a woman with a husband
true.
than to be pregnant and the father is out of the picture, the child is born to a single mother. You would have been more shunned, disrespected, and society would have shown you the backhand of, you know.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those are some of the challenges that during that time we were faced with.
And I'm glad we get to unpack this in more detail and really realize, you know, the things that were influencing people's decisions at that time.
Yeah. So I was pregnant. I was not ready for marriage, but I knew the moment I found that I was pregnant that marriage was the ultimate thing. I had to do it. First of all, my brothers were going to kill me. I was not gonna see. I don't know how I was even gonna go and even tell them, hey guys, I'm pregnant, but I'm not ready for marriage. So it wasn't an option. I just had to be pregnant, to be married. I just had to be married. So now I'm married, ill-prepared. I don't want to speak for my husband at that time, but personally I wasn't prepared for it. But obviously I know there are reasons for being strict were for protection, because the society was harsh. The society was judgy. They would label you. You probably would be,
and your child would be labeled.
Yeah. So in a way, it was a protection. Yes. One other thing I would like to add to the issue of dating and marriage and being parents is an encouragement to the young girls. There's nothing to rush into marriage for. Take your time, be ready for marriage, and when you do, choose the right partner. Have the right reasons for you to get into marriage. I know people talk about getting into marriage for financial reasons or maybe to escape a harsh family home or family setup, but I would advise that the right reason for one to be married is they should be ready and they should be in love. And when they do decide to have kids, take the time and plan for their kids, because it always works best. It's not everybody who has a child before they are ready who manages to bounce back. It's not all situations. Some people do with the right support, but take your time. Don't rush.
So just from realizing that you're a young mother and you still had to go to school, you still had to, you know, obtain your first degree, what kind of sacrifices did you make?
A lot. There were lots of sacrifices.
I can imagine, because babies are already a lot. Even if you have nothing else to do, I think full-time stay-at-home mothers still have a lot on their plate.
That's true.
So imagine that and having to do a whole degree. And, you know.
Yeah, so just to give context, I then had you 6 weeks before I started my university classes.
Wow.
And during that period where
there was no maternity leave, clearly.
No, definitely. So 6 weeks before I'm in class.
So does that mean that women can actually do it if they put their mind to it, you know?
Yes, I guess they can. It's just a lot of strain on the body, but they can.
How
If there are no
because
options,
honestly,
if there are no options, if there are no...
A lot of women are still bedridden, taking it bit by bit. I don't know, like, that's what I think. Women are super women.
Yeah. So now, 6 weeks after giving birth, I'm in class.
Oh, wow.
And I am in class with people my age who are still single, who are still having fun. And during that time, we used to have payouts or government grants, you know, the government funding that then they would put deposit money into your account. Part of it is used for tuition and part of it you use for your upkeep, besides buying stationery and everything. Part of it you use for your upkeep. So while my friends were going out and having fun or using part of that money to buy clothes for themselves, I would first of all make sure that there's income for me now. So financial sacrifices, I would put my child first compared to myself, and I would make sure you have the basics that you need, and then I'll only come second. So I grew up here. I grew up fast. You know, there are certain things that I think people my age would have done that I didn't get to do because I now was a mother and a wife and a daughter-in-law, as well as a student. So I needed to be a more mature person and sacrifice a lot of the things that I wanted. position that I was in. But I don't regret it now, although it was not easy then, it was a lot. But I think I'm just fortunate, and I want to thank God, because I think I had the strength of, when you make you make up your mind to say, this is the situation I am in, and this is what I have to deal with. So I think my mind was like, geared. I'm now a mother. I can't do what 1, 2, 3, 4 is doing, so it's okay. They can go and do it. It's okay for them to go out, and I'm going to breastfeed. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It's a lot that women go through, and they're able. Like, as long as you tell yourself you're gonna go through this, you will get out on the other side. So after you had graduated now, how was life post being a university graduate? After working so hard, juggling being a mother, a new wife, and being a daughter-in-law as well, and all the other roles that you had to fill, a sister and, a friend,
Sister-in-law, daughter-in-law, makoti.
Yeah, you had a lot of roles to fill, and after achieving that degree, talk us through like the feeling that you actually had when you finally held your degree in your hand. How did you feel?
It was exciting. That sense of accomplishment was fulfilling. It was exciting.
Because we can talk about, the journey and how challenging it was, but we also want to bask in the fact that you got there, you did that, you graduated. Yep. I think I remember being at your graduation.
Walked out a conqueror.
Yeah. That is one of my early memories as well, being at your graduation. I just remember a lot of black gowns. And I followed another guy who was wearing a black gown, who was taking you like big steps, and I'm like, since when does my mom walk this fast? Because I couldn't tell the difference, because everybody was wearing a black gown.
Yeah, so understood with this story. She always reminds me at my graduation.
I cried.
She was there. She was 5'6", around 5'6". So graduation, she's next to mommy, but we were in this black graduation grounds, and for some reason I don't know where we were walking from maybe from one room to another, or from the graduation arena to where we were having lunch.
Yeah.
And because we were all clothed in the same regalia, she just started following some guy, and I don't know, but it was just for a short while. It wasn't for a long time. It was just for a short while. So she always reminds me of how she then just started running after this person who was walking fast paced, and she's like, how is mommy walking so fast?
Yeah.
And did you tell her? Did I see you? What happened?
I think you called me, because I actually was starting to cry. Like,
you're
why
mommy
is
is
she
running
leaving
away?
me? It doesn't make. Why would she leave me?
Yeah. So she started following.
She was right behind, and I'm glad I had that kind of experience, because now I remember your graduation.
You remember?
Sometimes the things that
besides the photos,
because sometimes the things that make a core memory is either fear or super excitement. So maybe I didn't understand what a graduation was, but I understood what it meant being left by my mom and trying to run after my mom. So you can imagine how it felt. Like, other people are graduating, fetching their degrees, and she's there with her child.
And most people that I was in class with remember her, because remember, I was in class with, I was like 21, turning 22, so I was in class with most young people. So they remember, because I was like a young mother. They remember, oh, this is the university baby. Yeah, so it was, I think, 2 of us who came and enrolled and were pregnant. The other one was already married. She was slightly older than me. But people were like, oh, your baby is now grown. She's the university, baby. Yeah, so they remember her. It is quite a milestone. Yeah.
So I love the fact that I'm there in your graduation pictures, because I knew what graduation is. Like, the moment I would just ask, like, oh, that was mom's graduation, even though I didn't maybe understand it, I just knew that there's something called a graduation, and it was so important that I was there wearing a red attire, and everybody was wearing the same outfit, meaning that it must be something big,
big.
So maybe it actually kind of shaped the way I look at school or university.
I actually remember, I think one of your graduation photos, I posted it, I think it was on Facebook, where I was now standing next to you and you were in a gown, but just before that I then posted you standing next to me and I was in a graduation gown. So I was like, 20 something years later, you then.
Life is amazing.
Yeah. So you were at my graduation and I'm at your graduation.
That is sweet. It's rare, actually.
Yeah. So it could have been and something that came about. I became a parent unprepared, but as now life unfolded, it just became a blessing. Things just happened to fall in place. I guess maybe God knew that.
From being told not to waste paper, to being a whole graduate mother, and launched into the world. So how was that launch for you?
Wow, you know, with every person who graduates, you have high dreams, you've got high hopes, you think the world is your oyster, you think you've got your world in your fingertips.
Which is the right attitude to have.
Yeah. And fortunately for me, I had family that had been working in, remember coming from a big family with elder sisters, I had people that had worked in banks, so I really wanted to work in a bank.
Nice.
I would see people like in Zim at that time, the banks, when the economy was still good, people that worked in bank had access to bank loans to purchase houses, access to bank loans to purchase vehicles at a discounted interest rate. So when you looked at them and when you saw them wearing these neatly tailored uniforms of theirs, you think they have reached, they have arrived. So everybody, most people, will. And at that time when we were starting university, the other university in the country called National University of Science and Technology, they even started launching a banking qualification. I think before that it wasn't there, then there was a time it wasn't launched. Everybody who was doing commercial commerce courses would go and study banking because everybody wanted to work for these big banks that were looking after their employees. So when I finished my accounting degree, I was like, I also want to work for a bank.
Yes.
But things didn't work out the way I thought they would. So leaving university, graduate, excited about life, thinking the world is my oyster, I can apply and get the job that I want. It wasn't like that.
Because sometimes you're taught that education is the key to success.
Yes.
Once you have the education,
you
doors
just open.
You just
open any door that you want. That's what we were told.
But sometimes you have to try different locks, different doors.
Yeah. It doesn't
you may
mean
have to stray from the path that your degree was putting you on. You just have to find a way,
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so with me, getting a job was not as easy as I had envisioned it to be or thought it would have been. So
another stumbling block.
Another concrete wall. So imagine you want to go into university. You struggle to get into university. You spend 2 years looking for temporary work to do. Then you eventually go into university and you're already a parent. And you spend 4 years juggling studies.
That on its own can be a war.
So you go into
thankfully
university.
you had the push, the drive.
Yeah.
You just took it in and you're
I was like, this is the situation I am. I have to make it work.
You used it as fuel as well.
Yeah.
You're like, it's my child. I'm gonna do this.
Exactly.
I'm gonna show this.
I'm gonna make a difference for her. I'm gonna make a difference. So
and that's characteristic stayed until even till now. I feel like she's always like, this is my best. Sometimes she does things for me and I'm just like, that's that mom guilt right there. It won't let go.
like yesterday when I was cold and I was not wearing a jacket and I let you wear my jacket.
We walked around London and for some reason I barely get that cold, but I was just shivering. I had 2 jackets on and she was not wearing any jacket and I just felt like, oh my mom.
So initially
After all these years.
I wasn't feeling cold and I was like, no, I'm fine. And then they got a time when I was like, I'm cold, but I'm like,
but you didn't say anything.
Yeah, let her be warm a little bit longer. I can stand this until a bit later. Then I'm like, okay, now I'm feeling cold. But I felt like, let me let her have the warmth.
She's very sweet. She's very sweet.
Yeah.
But you see, the fuel helped her. The fuel.
Yeah. So finishing university and then graduating and having these high dreams and hopes of getting a job. And then eventually going out there into the job market and realizing the economy was not allowing that anymore. Not every graduate was getting a job. It was quite frustrating, it was quite painful, and I had a responsibility. I was like, I need to start working so that my child's life starts showing that, hey, mommy has finished studying. Because when I was studying, if there were things that I was lacking or I couldn't provide, I was like, yeah, at least it's because I'm a student. But now I'm like, okay, I'm done. So I must start doing the things that I couldn't do all this time. So it was like lots of pressure for myself. I was giving myself obviously that pressure, but I was also like feeling guilty for not being able to do.
The economy was also giving that pressure because
it was the
you
economy.
actually needed to survive. Like you needed to have a basic life that is free of struggle. You know, like your child's education, clothes, a house, all of those are basic needs. So, you know, other than you feeling like you were putting pressure on yourself, you just wanted a normal life that you thought could be afforded to any university graduate who worked hard for their success.
Yeah. So and then, in the meantime, as I was looking for the job, ended up securing a temporary teaching job. So I wanted a job in the bank and I couldn't get it. I was looking for a job in a big corporate. There were no jobs at that time.
And you are an accountant.
And I'm an accountant, recently graduated.
And
my
you
high
are now
dreams
back to being a teacher again.
Yeah, so I ended up having to take the teaching job because I had responsibilities to meet. And then I taught for a year. Yeah, so then I had to teach for another year before I eventually got the job. But the teaching experience
Let's talk about how you felt, feeling like you have this degree and you're on this level, and having to go to a school, not even in the special parts of town, it was also in the rural areas.
Yeah, because now securing a job was difficult for a lot of people. So obviously the job market had shrunk. The big companies themselves were not offering enough posts for everybody who qualified. So the people that had qualified were now going either to teach, and if you have a degree, the school that you wanted to teach was obviously in town or in an urban environment. So everybody who had a good qualification was now fighting for those few posts in the urban environment. So initially I was like a bit choosy. I'm like, I want a school in town, But then I had responsibilities and I had bills to pay and I had a child who needed me to look after her. So I ended up settling for a school, boarding school, but it was out of town in a semi-rural area, and where transport was a challenge. Going there itself was a mission, and the salary itself wasn't good enough. The school environment was not very encouraging.
So this was like a temporary phase. But it needed to be experienced.
I had struggles there too at the school. There were issues of disrespect from the students themselves. Disrespect from
the stories from
that
there
excite
itself. Me the most. Wow.
So I had some concrete walls there that I had to shoot through.
I can imagine how humbling it is though, to be like, wow, look at me with my university degree, you know. Now having to teach, you know, sometimes pride can stop people from taking whatever opportunity there is because they're like, I must do this. And you find that such people can actually be more stagnant. Like, you know, in life there are those people that are like, I want that job and that job only, and they don't get it. So they do nothing.
They don't even go to the next.
So they won't even start looking for other opportunities. You are blind to other opportunities because what if when you go to that opportunity that doesn't look great, you meet someone who is a connection to wherever you were supposed to go.
True.
So being open to taking opportunities can actually help you.
Sometimes you need to take a step back for you to launch forward. You know, sometimes like the catapult, for you to throw that stone further, you have to pull it back a few times. And then when you release, then it goes further. So sometimes life just takes us a little bit back because either we need to learn a few lessons, or maybe our character needs to be built a little bit, or maybe it's just a testimony that God is giving you. You know?
So you need to be open-minded to, you know, having a different path from, you mustn't be rigid, like in your mind, like opportunities can come from in different forms, and if you're not open to seeing them, you'll stay stuck.
Yeah.
You know, someone who may have looked like they took 2 steps back may be may go further than you, who was like, I don't want this, being choosy and having a rigid mindset. So
True. You are right. You go to that environment that looks like it's backward for you or beneath you under normal through your lenses that you use, but then the lessons that you take from that experience, or the skills that you learn, probably are the same skills that you're gonna use later on in life. Exactly. You never know.
Exactly.
And sometimes just embracing that and making the most of it, you might find yourself better placed in the future for something that God is preparing for you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because if we knew the future, then maybe it would make sense in the moment.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, you won't know what's in the future. But what you can do is be open-minded.
True.
Yeah. All right. So now like I said, the story that intrigues me the most is from this particular point in your life where you were now a teacher and you were teaching O level and you're also teaching A level.
Yes.
Yeah. So there were students that were being disrespectful. Can you maybe narrate it for us? Because it's one of my favorite stories.
One of the favorites.
Yeah.
I wonder why you find it very intriguing. But
because
anyway,
she showed how boss she can be. You know, she stood her ground, and that's one lesson people need to learn. You know, you can't let people keep walking all over you. Sometimes you're gonna have to show who you are. You're gonna have to take up your position and your space and not be intimidated. So that's what this chapter teaches you. Maybe that's what I like, you know, like, yes, you can do it. Yeah.
Okay, so remember, I've just finished university. As much as I was a mother, my body and my stage.
I mean, look at her. She's 25 years old. She's 25 years old. Look at her.
Yeah.
She's gorgeous. She looks like my younger sister.
Your younger sister, come on. So, I've just finished university. I'm a mother, yes, but my body doesn't show. For people that didn't know, they didn't know I was a mother. And even for people that know me now, can't believe I'm a mother to her.
I know, right?
When people meet me, they're like, "How old is your child? Oh, you got child. How old?"
The guys are
I pause a little bit.
Can I talk to your sister?
Come on, don't remind me of those incidents. You know, people used to hit on her. We'll be walking to the shops together, and then people will start hitting on her, and then they'll be asking me, say, "Can we speak to your young sister?" Embarrassing, cringy, right?
Cringe.
Somebody come and ask me. But anyway.
And then some of them, you'd be like, Ingoma, whatever.
Yeah.
Cows.
White cows.
White cows for this one. That's when they're like, oh,
why are you demanding cows? I'm like, because of the mother. Like, oh, sorry. And then they'll just disappear. They'll just find their out and they'll disappear. Yeah. So anyway, so I have graduated. I'm a mother to a little girl. My body doesn't show that I'm a mother. I was really petite at that time, you know.
Very petite.
Yeah. So I think even for when I was introduced in the school, because I was teaching a Form 4 class. Form 4 is like, for people that are talking grades or years, is like 8, 9, 10. It's like what? Year 10? Year 11?
Yeah,
somewhere
10.
Yeah, year 10 or grade 10. So I'm teaching a grade 10 and I'm also teaching a grade 12 class. Right. And at least for the grade 12, they're a bit more mature. But later on, they found out I was actually a university graduate. They thought, oh, the school just gave us a teacher from high school. They thought I just graduated from high school and I was just plugged in because they didn't have a teacher and they wanted a teacher. Later on, they confessed, they're like, oh, we didn't know. We just looked at your body and your structure and how you look, and we assumed you're straight from school, from high school. So I'm teaching this grade 10 class. The grade 10 class had had a lot of high staff turnover. Teachers were coming and leaving, and they'd had a period where they didn't have a teacher. So now when I came in, they were in exam class. We were already feeling like anxious because of the high staff turnover, and they were wondering if they would really make it that year because they needed to finish their syllabus and have enough time to revise and then write the exams and be ready for the exams. So when I eventually settled, because I came towards the end of the first term and then there was a bit of some disturbance, by the time we went into second term, already there's a very little time left between the time that we were opening schools to when we were writing their mid-year exams. So they were getting very anxious. And I too felt, I knew that I had a lot of responsibility.
And midterms were used to determine if you to gauge yourself to see if you're gonna pass the final.
Yeah, usually
national exams. Yeah.
So your performance in the mid-year, which was like June, July exams, determined what your overall pass mark would have been at the end of the year. Because somehow they were used to benchmark, and I don't know whether it was an issue of maybe you should have finished the syllabus and whatever. Chances of you maintaining this almost similar grade at mid-year to the one that you were going to get at the end of the year were quite, quite
Only
high.
a few students could do that.
Only a few students would maybe not perform so well in the mid-year and pass. If you had a B, chances you were going to get a B. Or maybe if you had a B plus, then you'd get an A. But yeah. So people treated these mid-year exams very seriously. So with a few months, probably 3 months left, this class was way behind the syllabus. So in my mind, I knew that I needed to find a way of covering up for all the lost time they had so that we catch up, and then they were able to have enough time to practice and revise and be ready for the mid-year. And they were also anxious, but when they looked at me, I think they thought, this young lady, I was different from the previous teachers. Some teachers were older, more mature, more experienced. So they probably didn't trust that I could do it. So they started disrespecting me in class. I would walk in a class. When it started one day, I don't know what had happened, and I walked in class, introduced my class, turned around to write on the board, blackboard, a roar of laughter just bursts. Just imagine you're addressing a class and you turn around and then everybody's laughing. So initially I thought, oh, okay, maybe there's somebody or something that happened that I missed. So I turned around and I'm like addressing them. So the moment I turn around, dead silence. Dead silence. So this happened for a while. So every time I would turn around, I'm like, guys, let's not waste time. Let's be serious. What's going on? Try to talk to them. Nobody's saying anything. Okay, guys, let's be serious. Turn around to write something on the board. Roar of laughter. So after the second time, I knew the joke was on me. I knew I was the joke. But then I thought, okay, so if I'm the joke and they don't want to respond and they're laughing at me, how do I handle this situation? So it happened probably 3, 4, maybe even 5 times. Turn around, give a little lecture, guys, let's be serious. Let's take this opportunity, let's not waste time. Turn around, okay, now I'm gonna write on the board, I need us to proceed. They laugh. I turn around, dead silence. You would not literally, no trace. Every face was straight blank, imagine a class that was laughing, and the next thing they are like, I was the joke, guys.
Wow.
I was the joke. So after a few attempts of writing on the board, they laugh at me. I turn around, I try to instill some sense in them. I realized if I don't do anything, if I don't take this power, these kids are now disrespecting me, and I have a choice to run out of here embarrassed and cry, or I have a choice to stand my ground and take back my power, because they are literally stripping me of my power and position in this class. So I faced them and I told them, I gave them a little lecture about how important this time was and how important how important it was for them to utilize this time and for us to move so that we finish our syllabus. Gave a little lecture. I'd done that a few times before, but still nothing was happening. Then this time around I said, guys, the last straw was when I gave the lecture and turned and they laughed, and then turned around to their blank faces and then took my book and folded my books and my material that I had, and I said, I realize that you don't want to respect me or listen to me or talk to me. You are just laughing and disrupting the lessons. So clearly you do not value my presence in here. So I'm going to go back to the staff room. I'll pay attention to the other classes that value my time. You guys are not interested in my time. Up to such a time where you want to value my time, then I'll come back. But for now, I'm going to the staff room. And they burst laughing. They literally laughed. I think they probably knew something that I didn't know in terms of maybe how the headmaster was going to handle the situation, because that's another story for another day. The headmaster was feared and he used to harass teachers, and the kids knew that if they ran to him and complained, the headmaster would come crashing on the teacher. So they probably thought, who do you think you are? We're just going to report you and the headmaster is going to make you jump. So I said, I'm going to go to the staff room until such a time when you really want me to come and teach you, because clearly we're not making any progress. So I folded my books and I walked out to a wide row of laughter. Guys, you can imagine the humiliation. It was supposed to be a humiliation incident. Like, it was really humiliating. But I just walked out. I said, I'm not coming back here until the kids themselves come to me and say, ma'am, can you please come and teach us? No one, no administration, no one is going to say, hey, go to that class. Because I don't want the kids to think that I am coming because I'm scared of the headmaster. They must know that I'm coming because I know why I'm here and I value the class and I know that I want them to pass.
Wow.
So I wanted them to know that me coming to class is not because I'm scared of someone. It's because I've made a commitment to be here and I'm going to stick to my commitment and I'm going to do the best. But they also need to come to the party. So I walked out, went to the staff room, placed my books in the staff room, walked out straight to the headmaster's office and got to the headmaster and I reported and I said, this is the situation, the class is very disrespectful, they are not listening to me, they are laughing at me. So the only way that I feel we are going to meet halfway is I won't go to their class until they come to me to say, ma'am, please come. And then the headmaster's like, no, you can't do this. I'm like, I just came to let you know. I didn't come to ask for permission. I didn't come to ask for your permission. I just came to let you know that I am going to be sitting in my class. And the only way we are going to solve this is they and I must talk. I don't want you, sir, to intervene. Because I don't want them to think I'm coming because of you. Because this is what they are thinking right now. They think they can disrespect me and then you will come crashing on me. And then they'll keep on disrespecting me. I don't want you to intervene. But I think the headmaster thought he needed to intervene. So he went. And then he came to me and said, okay, I've spoken to them. I said I am not going until they come. So it went on, I don't know whether it was a week or 2 weeks. I was not going to the class. He was complaining. I said, sir, I want them to know who I am and to give me my position. I'm a teacher. I'm an accounts teacher. I have been assigned to teach them. They need to just give me that position. So he tried to intervene. The HOD was called. The whole department was involved. I said, guys, my condition to them is they must come to me, not you coming on the idea. So everybody tried to intervene, everybody tried to threaten me, everybody did whatever they wanted. I said, if you are going to intervene, we are not going to get to the bottom of it. We and the kids need to talk. They must come and we must talk about what I expect, and then we can take it from there. Eventually it happened. They started coming in. They started coming one by one. You know, the good girls in class, they started coming. So, ma'am, it wasn't our fault. It was the guys. I said, when I was asking you who's causing that noise, you were quiet. You were protecting them. So because of you protecting them, now everybody else is suffering. And the fact that you have come is okay. But the very culprits, if they don't come, they will still cause a problem. So you can go and, rest assured that I've heard your explanations, but I want everybody to come. So I then end up saying, I want everybody. Out of the all 45 of you, I need all of you to write a petition to say, ma'am, please come to class. We want you to come to class. And the petition came.
Wow.
Yeah. And then, obviously, things were not easy the first days because the class was now scared of me because they realized that no headmaster could force me to come to class. The HOD did not force me to class. I think they even were like, who does she think she is? Who is she? Who's this lady? Who's got so much power to say, hey, headmaster, I'm not going to go because you are forcing me to go. I'm going to go on my own terms.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love this story.
Yeah, so obviously it wasn't easy because I think there was a bit of tension, but I found a way of breaking the tension. And I told them we had a conflict. It's now resolved. You asked me to come. All of you asked me to come. I'm here. My purpose is for me to teach you, and I'm going to teach you, and you're going to pass.
Wow.
And I taught them. But in the long term, the conflict and the tension died, and we were all fine. And they wrote their exams, and
They passed.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And the following year, I got a job at the end of that year, and then I moved. So when their results eventually came on the next year, called the school to find out. I'm like, hey, my Form 4 class. There was probably, out of 120, there were probably like 90 distinctions. Yeah.
Wow.
In accounting. Yeah.
See how much of a difference you made?
Yeah. So
Just
I wish
from
I would
being there for that short space of time.
I wish I was
You made a difference in a lot of people's lives.
I wish I was the mosquito on the wall in the staff room on that day because probably they were like, this teacher, who does she think she was? But I think when they were looking, they were like, she. She made the kids pass.
She is the boss. That
Yeah.
She's the girl.
So that was just one, not so easy, but I had to. I think I wouldn't have survived in that environment because the kids were actually bullying me. The headmaster was bullying me, and I had to like be
Stand up
stubborn.
for
Yeah,
yourself.
stand for myself and take my power back.
Wow.
Yeah,
I
and
love
show
it.
them who I was and what I was worth.
Wow.
Yeah, regardless of my stature, I was an expert. I was a professional. I'd come to make the kids pass, and I did make them pass. But they had only judged me based on I don't know what they were seeing from outside, without giving me an opportunity.
Sometimes people think you can't be beautiful and have brains. So.
You think it was because of the beauty?
Look at you.
Yeah.
I love it. She
Yeah.
said, take back your power.
Yeah.
And we're going to close off on that note. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in to episode 2 of the unpacking of shooting through corporate wars. And yeah.
Thank you guys for joining, and click, like, subscribe, and comment. And see you in our next episode.